It's another beautiful evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Man Up. This is the space where we have conversations about men, looking at problems that men are facing in today's generation and solutions to those problems. Now, it is said that as a man, if you have two male friends that you can call on at midnight when you're stuck on the road and they will wake up and come for you, you are a blessed man. More blessed than majority of men, because apparently men don't form very deep relationships. It is said that our relationships are usually very superficial, involving activities. So if we can meet for soccer and eat nyama choma and talk about soccer and politics and go home, then it's good. But we never go beyond that to form deep relationships where we can have accountability and where you can have a band of brothers that you go through life with together. So this evening, we are going to be talking about friendships and accountability. I've got a group of men in studio with us this evening to help us with this conversation. First and foremost, we have Boniface Nyoike Nganga. He is an author. He is a motivational teacher, a leadership equiper, a consultant, a relationships teacher, a life coach, a corporate trainer. Basically, he is all things to all men. Bonnie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you.
It's good to have you on the show.
Good to be here as well.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
We also have Camila Somolo. Camila Somolo is a mental health practitioner, and he focuses on substance use disorder. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Yes. And then we also have Don Otieno. Don Otieno is the CEO at Kingdom Innovative Designs, and he's also a founder of Man Code Events, a male program that creates a space for men to come out and have fun and discuss issues on manhood. Don Otieno, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Karibu sana.
Asante
It's
sana.
good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
What I said when I was beginning, is it true? Is it true that men don't form deep relationships? Our relationships are surface based on the activities we are doing.
That is 101% true. I think 100 would be an understatement, so we'll put it at 101. And it's because a lot of men fear vulnerability. And you know, building relationships is a journey of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And the toughest test of courage for a man is vulnerability. Conquering yourself and conquering the need to appear like you're okay and actually exposing certain areas of your life that may be a showcase of weakness so that you can go stronger.
Okay.
So to that extent now, a lot of men have very superficial relationships that only show the good side of them. They only show the crown, they don't show the wounds. So they end up being very superficial in many ways.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm wondering, Don, when you do your events, because you do quite a number of events, bringing men together. Is this something you have experienced as well? And what is some feedback you get from men when we talk about forming deep bonds?
Actually, absolutely true what Bonnie is saying, because men, that's why I do the events the way I do them.
Okay.
I have an event, and then now from the event is when we get deep into the discussions. And so men, after they are free, or when they feel this is someone I can talk to, you realize, wow, this guy is operating with all these things and not able to talk and tell someone about them. There's also the stigma of, you know, Don has no money as compared to us.
Yes.
You know, that fear of not letting people know that I need money right now, or I don't have a house. Becomes an issue for guys. But when you're free, when you get to that space where you have friends you can talk to, I think it doesn't matter. As long as you know this one, I can tell my issues. I think that's a safe space.
Okay. Camila's experience is very different. You had friends, but they did not lead you in the right direction. What was your experience?
Oh, thank you. I have had a journey, a life journey.
Yeah.
And this journey started so well. Just to put it short, getting good jobs quite early in life having the so-called friends quite early in life. And their friends were basically buddies. That after our duties,
Yes.
we could be friends in the evening to have drinks.
Tulikuwa tunasema baada ya kazi.
Yeah. Burudika.
Kurudishia mwili asante. Especially month end usafanya jubo. Now you want to rest. You want to relax with your friends.
Yeah.
And these are the friends who became very dangerous friends
Okay.
as time goes by. And the friendship started well, but ended very badly. Because my journey ended up in a rehabilitation facility.
Oh.
Because of having friends who knows only where to take you. The best place to take you is where to
drink.
Yes.
Aha.
Then you reach your house early in the morning. You find your wife there still seated waiting for you.
Wow.
Crying actually. Because it is not known whether you are arrested, you are in trouble somewhere, an accident, which was quite frequent with me. I had people I should not, if I can rewind my life back,
Yeah.
I would never touch them. I would never call them in my circle of friends. They cannot be my friends. And I believe majority of them, they abandoned me during my hour of need.
Yeah.
Especially for you young guys who are coming up. This is the best time to choose your friends wisely.
I think it's bringing out a very interesting and very important aspect. When you are in your teens, early 20s, you know, you can have friends, and if they mess you up, there's time to recover. But once you hit your 30s, going into your 40s, as a man, there's so much power of influence in the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
Because looking at listening to what he's saying, that those decisions then are affecting him even till today.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you would say to that.
And you know, it's interesting how when you're in your early ages, and when you touch money early, the temptation is to build your relationships with other men around ego and entertainment.
Oh,
so
the two E's.
Yes, because when you have money, you have access to those two things. One, it bloats your ego, and then you have options in terms of what you can do to self-gratify.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking what to do to evolve to the man you need to become, you think about gratification. So your relationships are built around gratification because you're in a castle. And when you're in a castle, the temptation to attract fools in your space is very high. When you're in your cave, you attract people who are very real and they love you for no other reason other than who you are and helping you to become who you need to become. But when you're in a castle, then you attract all sorts of people. I call them fakes, frauds, and fools. Because now they have something they can take advantage of that you have.
Yes.
So the relationships become even more superficial. They become parasitic, and these are people around you for what they can get from you and not what they can add for you to become who you need to become.
And I think the temptation with that, Don, is because this kind of friends, they puff up your ego. Ukiingia mahali unasikia mkurugenzi, bazo. They know how to make you feel important, and you kind of feel like you need to sustain that. So you become generous towards them, only to later regret.
Yeah, I think this is by nature. You know, at that age group, you're probably now not very dependent on your parents for money, and so you're starting off. So of course the excitement of the money, the excitement of, you know, I can buy myself this, you know, that's when you find people are even splashing money which you don't even have. You get into debt. That's the space where you really have to be careful to know who's around you, because if you are out to show off or to look good, it's very dangerous, because that's where now you begin to start messing up.
I'm just curious listening to your story, Camillus. Somebody would wonder, when all this was going on, you didn't see that these friends are leading you in the wrong direction. You know, sometimes for somebody who has not, you know, gone through the pain of, you know, being in a relationship, you know, you kind of feel like you need to sustain that. So you become generous towards them, only to later regret. Yeah.
And
traveled your journey, they can look back and say, na hata wewe. Au kuona marafiki zako wanakupoteza, what would you tell them?
People tend to celebrate you when you have something. And they tend to raise your ego. And you know how stupid our ego is, huh? The moment you raise it up, it will do.
Yes.
It's a good, it likes good things.
Yes.
I've gone through, I've been with some guys who have been somewhere, I don't want to mention names here, who are actually riding on their past. Huh? Yes, because they were so seriously, maybe in some games, let's say cricket, and you come down seriously, but when you go to the back streets, around Taveta Lane, you still hear your name called coaches.
Yes, coaches.
You are a coaches, huh? You are called coaches, but
hauna kitu.
Basically, you are a beggar. I've never known that there are places where you can take this funny phone, the smallest phone we have. It is called what? Kabambe?
Kabambe.
And then you deposit it there, you get some little money, then you pay interest in the evening. So you see, these people are puffing your ego. You are not yourself. Because all of us at that age, we are confused. We are lost.
We think we know everything.
Yes, and but we know nothing. Huh?
Yes.
Seriously, we know nothing. So I would pick it differently.
Okay.
And look for role models, if they are still there. And I believe role models are still there. If you don't have any role models,
I'm telling you.
Here.
Yeah.
For free. Talk to us.
He mentioned something about ego. I think as men, we don't realize how our ego affects the decisions we make and our future. Yeah.
And ego always creates blind spots. And that's why what he has said is so important. And we are not removing the place of peers, but we are saying have voices ahead of you that can deflate the ego in your decisions and give you perspective. One of the reasons why men get into a lot of wrong relationships is because they are operating on the perspective of that level. So when you're operating on the perspective of that level, you become a victim of the blind spots of that level. There's something that I practice that has really been helpful. I call it the law of 10 plus, which is again what is mentioned. At any stage in your life as a man, have a man that is at least 10 years older than you, that can point you to the pitfalls of where you are, so that your decisions are not screened based by the immaturities you have at that level. You are able to adopt an empowered perspective and make better informed decisions. So you'll find that when you do that, your circle of peers will reduce, but they will be high value peers. If you don't have those voices that are ahead of you, your circle of peers will be very large, but with very useless people that don't add value to your journey.
I think then that calls for intentionality in the relationships you form.
Yes, correct. I think being intentional is very, very, very important. You know, you'll find that men wait. Like if you look at mentorship, many times people say, I want to be mentored, and then they sit and wait for the mentee, the mentor
to find them.
Yeah. You know, so as a mentee, you should be the one disturbing this mentor. You are always after, because this is something I want from inside, but not just sitting and expecting to be called for the meeting. So in the same way, being very intentional should be something you decide. It should be a lifestyle. You know, you decide in my heart that I want to be this kind of a man, and then do it.
Okay. We'll talk about the power of friends to influence you, to take you from I think it is him who said when we were preparing for the show that there are friends who can take you from zero to somewhere. You know, so we'll talk about that. We are talking about men and friendships and accountability. The question for you this evening, Mwanaume, is this. If you are stranded somewhere at 2 a.m., who do you call? Do you have a man who you can call? First of all, they will pick up the phone. Number one, the first hurdle is they will actually pick up the phone. At 2 a.m., memwamsha akilala, and they will hear you out and they will come to your aid. You know, or you have 3-4 men in your life, you can call them and tell them, dude, me, I just need 20K. Usiulize ni ya nini, I just have an issue, I need 20K, please sort me out. And they can sort you out without questions because they know the kind of person you are. Do you have such friends? Those are good questions for us to ask ourselves. Kama kawaida, I'll allow you 1 minute, ukunywe kopo la maji, and then we come back for the second part of this discussion.
Tomorrow on This Is My Story. In his teenage years, Michael lost his entire family and everything attached to him.
There's someone said this child needs to go to children's home, but my aunt refused. She said no.
And with a health condition to manage, Michael knew too well that material possessions will never be a solution to his struggles.
Love, 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 love. It's love I need.
Catch This Is My Story tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome back to Man Up. Tonight we are discussing friendships and accountability. We are hanging out with Don Otieno, Boniface Nyoike, and Camila Somolo. We also have a live studio audience. And as we get into the second part of this conversation, we want to take some questions from our audience. So you can give us your name and ask your question.
I'm Jevon. My question is around adversity. What role does adversity play in forming formidable brotherhoods?
Don, you want to take that one?
I think getting to identify, even when we talk of men having friendships, there's two sides it can go.
Yeah.
There are those friendships that you feel, these ones are just taking you down the drain, the example he gave us. But there are those friends that you want to grow with. Friends you've tested and tried.
Yeah.
Friends these ones, I want to be like them, or they'll carry me through this journey of manhood. So I think being intentional in terms of identifying, first knowing what you want for yourself as a man, then you identify who out of these men can I walk with. But I think the main thing of knowing here also is that even in pursuit of greatness or in pursuit of becoming the man that you want to be, there are challenges. There are times where it will be hard, you'll fall, or it might not work. But when that happens, that does not mean that is the end of you. I think once you have the drive and desire to keep moving, even when it becomes hard, I think you'll be able to pass because you're not giving up because it was hard. So having that self-drive within you and deciding that I really want this, that pursuit is what will give you the push to be who you want to be.
And I think, falling back to something Boniface said earlier, when you have relationships with men that are purely transactional, that they are with you because of what you have or because of certain doors that you open for them. His example is a very good example. When his time of adversity came, they disappeared because their relationship was purely transactional. But if you have a relationship where people connect with you for who you are, then when adversity comes, they will be with you. They will pull you out of whatever you are in because they're interested in the person and not what the person has to offer. And I think that's what makes a very big difference. That question.
Charity begins at home is one of the proverbs that I love associating myself with. Now for a son who has never experienced the word "I love you" from your father. Now, how are you able to go and share out your emotions, also open up yourself to other men and build relationship with them, but you yourself, you have never experienced the word "I love you" from your father? How do you now that we're talking about relationship and accountability, the man who was supposed to show you, to build a relationship with you, the man who was supposed to mentor you into becoming a son, never really committed that to you. Now, how do you build up a relationship now with other men outside there?
Okay.
Now we are acquaintances now. There is something that you can see from me or in me or in any one of us that you didn't see in your father. And you say, okay, fine. Take a leap of faith. Come to Molo. Let's talk about it. Because the moment you hide it, I won't know. Anyone else won't know. And then from there, from that acquaintance, we are acquainted now. We go to the next level. We build the relationship. It reaches a point that we will end the relationship, we will terminate it. But at that level, you'd have gotten at least something from me that would play positively in your life. And remember, even if you look at the scriptures, it is not only the biological fathers who influenced their sons to be who they are. There are so many people who had no fathers, but other fathers of faith played a role in their lives, and they're who they were, and some are who they are today, not because of their biological fathers. So love can come from different circles. Within this circle of 3 levels of relationship, you have that intimate relationship that should be between you and Father. There's the inner family. Then you have your friends as the second level. Then you have the outer level, which is the general kind of relationship. You may find that this general relationship that you have with even your friends may come down to be intimate friendship. Have you not seen people, let's say like in a family, okay, this I'm talking from my practice, where you have a client and the client tells you, don't tell me anything about my father. When you are doing relationship building, you find that they will place their relationship between them and their immediate family, father and mother, at that 3rd circle of general. Have you not seen that? Where somebody, instead of the smaller circle, the intimate circle, it becomes the general circle. And then the person who you think should be at that circle 3, general circle, anakuletea kwa intimate. You ask him why. This is not even your blood. So they normally say blood is thicker than water. But remember, there is a saying that goes that no man is an island. And this person who is at the general level becomes your what? Intimate. So don't take that incident where there, you didn't hear of, I love you, to be the end of your relationship with love. You can get love from several angles, several perspectives, but also look at us. Our generation, that question of I love you is, that is yours, but we will show you by doing some things that tells you, Dad, Daddy loves me. But coming there and then I hug you, I love you. Those are Western things. We don't know them.
It's interesting because of a Father's Day. One of the media houses, they keep doing this every other year. They get a group of guys and they tell them, call your dad and tell him you love him. The most awkward conversations you've ever had from men, I'm telling you. There's one particular guy that, Dad, how are you? Mko mnaendelea aje? Mko vizuri? Sasa dad, kuna jamaa niko naye hapa. Ameniambia nikupigie simu, nikuambie nakupenda. It was very awkward. So I understand what he's saying. So what are the solutions for men who may be listening to this conversation, and they're at that place where they can be honest with themselves and they say, most of my relationships are actually transactional. The people I have around me are people who are with me because of what we do together, but we are not really intimate. We don't talk about our emotions, our fears. These are not people who are thinking about my future. We only think about the nyama choma, a few drinks, watch football, and then that's it. Go out to Naivasha and watch the rally, and then that's it. How does one begin to build this authentic, deep relationships? And how many do I need to build? How many do I need?
By the way, you will find that in life you will have very few of those kinds of people.
Okay.
If you do very well, you'll have 3. If you are extremely blessed, you may go to 4 and the like.
Okay.
But it begins here. Number 1, it begins with a man defining what do I want to become, not what do I want to do. A lot of men define themselves by activity.
Yeah.
And that's why you find that, for example, when a man loses a job, he crashes because his identity is not in who he's trying to become, it is in what he does on a daily basis. And that comes down to what is the vision of the man you want to become. Not getting a car, not getting a house, not all these other things. Who do you want to become as a man? Because now that begins to shape the script of the kind of men you will want to bring around you. I read Billy Graham's biography many years ago, and I began to see a vision of the kind of a man I wanted to become. I wanted to become the kind of a man that, number one, is known to honor Christ, to love my family, and to be actively engaged in building a legacy. Now, when I define that, then it allows me to see what kind of men do I need to pursue. Because those things are not about activity now. They're not about transaction, they're about transformation. And a man must shift his mind from transaction to transformation. And that begins with, again, defining what kind of a man do I want to become. And then number two, defining what kind of values do I want to embody as a man. Again, values are not about transactions. They're about how you make your everyday decisions. Now, unfortunately, what I find in life is that most men are brought to that place of identifying who they want to become or what values they want by a crisis. So when a crisis comes, you either lose a job, or you are sacked, or your health crashes. That's when you begin to realize, hey, by the way, life is not about all these activities I've been surrounding myself with. Because, for example, when you look at men that are in their 20-30 window, the activity is let's go out, party, alcohol, football. You see, all those are about transaction. What is the transformation agenda there? And unless a man asks that transformation question, then he cannot have authentic brotherhood around him. When David was clear that he wanted to become the king, and that was very clear in his heart, then a Jonathan became an asset. And he knew, now how do I sieve the relationships that come around me? And you find now, when those two things are defined, now it becomes easier for you to be vulnerable. Because if the vision is clear and the values are clear, then I know, okay, because James does not rate me based on the transactions that I do, I am comfortable to begin finding a safe space in him because we share vision and we share values. Now, for most men, those two things are not very clear. So they cannot even begin building. Then, of course, the last thing that I'll mention quickly in passing is you've got to venture. Most men fail to have those kinds of relationships because they sit and wait for those relationships to come to them. Brotherhood is not built by waiting. It is built by initiating. So it begins with vision, then values, then of course you come to that place of vulnerability, then you venture. You venture, you initiate.
Also,
you
initiate.
You initiate.
The 5 V's. If I'm not wrong, that's
you
a
initiate.
book. That's a whole book right there, my friend. You've been given in a nutshell. There's something is mentioned that I think sometimes as men we are afraid of, and it leads to our downfall, accountability. You know, every mwanaume ni simba kwake. You know, who are you to tell me? And sometimes we even know, we don't know where we are going, but we don't want to ask another man, because if we ask them, it will look like they're better than me. So how important is accountability for a man who is purposing to grow? Because we're talking about authentic relationships that lead to growth, not just kukula sherehe and then you crash. What's the place of accountability?
That's a space where I try to push, even individually. I try to push men to just be accountable. You know, some 14 years ago, we sat as men, just random men friends. We attended a fellowship together, so we decided as men, let's sit together. And the core thing that brought us together is we looked at what is the main downfall of men in the church. We actually looked at pastors. What are these things that would actually make pastors, men of God, fall? And we took just the money, power, and women. Those 3 alone gave us the fun to start as men. We said there are men of God who've fallen because of these 3 things. Who are we? Who are we as random young boys to survive this? And pastors are actually falling because of these 3 things. So we said, hey, let's hold each other accountable and let's do life. We were not married by then, and we took this thing up. But the one thing I want to say is, even as we decide to be accountable or to say accountability is a need in our lives, is not look at accountability as policing. Because that is what will make now Bonnie look at me and say, now this guy is pushing me. Now accountability should not be policing. Jemo, where were you? Why? No, no. You know, it should be, hold my hand, let's go this direction. So let's go. And like I was saying before, there are times you'll fall. There are times you will find it hard. But with these brothers around you, you will be able to go through, instead of doing it alone, they're guiding you.
For the women who are listening to this conversation, how do they help their spouses in this area? Because for women, it comes naturally. Women connect naturally. For men, it's a bit hard. So to the wife who's listening to this conversation and they're thinking, if anything should happen, I don't know who to call. I don't know any of his friends that I can say are real friends. How can she be part of this conversation?
I think maybe I'll encourage ladies, believe in men, don't bash them. The moment you bash a man, he goes lower. The moment you believe in a man, he gets strength to rise up higher and raise the bar.
Awesome. I think we can end on that note. Believe in that man. You know, I love his story because he had men who believed in him. Even when he went back, they still believed in him and went for him. And look at where he is today. That's all the time we have for Man Up this evening. I hope the conversations have provoked you as a man to think about the relationships in your life. If unaona kasoro, it's never too late. I keep saying, as long as you're still alive, God is not done with you yet. You can do something about it. Be intentional. Until next week, for another conversation, do have a great evening and God bless you.